Today, we play. Not with video games, but with African games. Do you know a whale? It's a strategy game so ancient that it was already played in the time of the pharaohs. You place seeds in holes, you think, you count, and you win by capturing the other player's seeds. But did you know that this game travels? It is found in Ghana, Senegal, Ethiopia, and even in the Caribbean islands. It's a bit like a story of friendship between peoples. Today, we will discover how Africans and their descendants, even far from home, have always maintained strong ties, like in a great game where everyone is connected. We will smell the spices, listen to the drums, touch the fabrics, and taste the flavors. Because Pan-Africanism is this, remembering that we are all brothers and sisters, no matter where we live. In the documents in our library, we find stories of travels, encounters, battles, and joys. For example, in the books A Tramp's Sketches, a man walks along the Black Sea, crosses mountains, and meets people who sing and pray together. He says that life is like a song, and that each people brings its own note. That is exactly what Pan-Africanism is, a great song where every voice counts. So, get ready, we will play, smell, taste, and listen. And in the end, you will know why Africa is a united continent, even when it is scattered around the world. You will learn words, gestures, and stories that make the heart beat. Because Pan-Africanism is not just an idea, it is a game, a scent, a taste, a music. So, shall we begin? SEP First Part, Games that Travel with Peoples. In our source Frank Among the Rancheros, we see a young boy who has adventures in the Rocky Mountains. He meets people from different cultures, and he learns to fight, to negotiate, to make friends. But what is interesting is that, in these stories, games are important. For example, the game of a whale, also called Mankala, is a game of seeds. It has been played in Africa for thousands of years. The seeds are the fruits of the tree of life. When you move them, you learn to count, to anticipate, to share. It is a game that teaches patience and strategy. But this game traveled with African slaves to America, the Caribbean, and even Europe. On plantations, African children played a whale with pebbles or fruit pits. It was a way to remember their home, their family, their culture. Today, a whale is found all over the world. It is a symbol of African unity. Because, even if people are separated by the ocean, they play the same games. This shows that the African spirit is strong, like an invisible thread that connects all the children of Africa. In the book 12 Years a Slave, we see how slaves kept their traditions, even in suffering. They sang, danced, and played. Play was a way to resist, to remain human.
In a village in Mali, under a tree, with friends who speak Bambara. You place seeds in the sand. You hear laughter. You smell the scent of warm earth. That is Africa, an infinite game. And this game, you can play it anywhere, because it is in your heart. SAP's second part, Scents and Flavors that Tell History. In A Tramp's Sketches, the author talks about the smells of the Black Sea, the spices of the markets, the incense of the churches. He says that each smell tells a story. In Africa, spices are very important. Ginger, pepper, cinnamon, cloves, these flavors often come from Africa or Asia, but they traveled with traders and slaves. For example, the dish called jollof rice is a spicy rice eaten in Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana. Each country has its own recipe, but the dish is the same. It is a bit like Pan-Africanism, we are different, but we share the same tastes. When you eat jollof rice, you eat the history of Africa. African slaves brought their recipes to America. Today, we eat gumbo in Louisiana, feijoada in Brazil, callaloo in the Caribbean. All these dishes come from Africa. They smell good of chili, palm oil, thyme. They remind us of lost villages, separated families, but also the joy of gathering around a meal. In our library, we also have African poems that talk about food. For example, a poem says, "Cassava is sweet like my mother's milk." Because food is love. Pan-Africanism is also this, remembering that our ancestors cultivated the land, cooked with love, and shared their bread with their neighbors. So, when you smell the scent of cooking rice, or when you taste a sweet mango, think of all the children of Africa who eat the same thing. You are connected to them through taste. This is an important lesson. Pan-Africanism is lived with the taste buds. Now, imagine you are in a market in Morocco. You smell mint, saffron, dates. You hear the merchants shouting. You touch the colorful fabrics. All of this is Africa. And you are part of it, SIP, third part, fabrics, colors, and the touch of unity. In the sources, we talk about clothing, fabrics, costumes. For example, in Frank Among the Rancheros, the characters wear leather and wool clothes, but also colorful ponchos. In Africa, fabrics are very important. Kent, in Ghana, is a hand-woven fabric with geometric patterns. Each pattern has a meaning: wisdom, strength, love. When you wear Kent, you wear the history of your people. Bagalan, in Mali, is a fabric dyed with mud and plants. It smells of earth, sun, rain. It tells myths and legends. African slaves took these skills to America. Today, African fabrics are found all over the world. The patterns are reproduced on clothes, bags, furniture. It is a way of saying, I am proud of my roots. P.
You wear an African garment, you wear unity. In our book 12 Years a Slave, the slaves wore rags, but they dreamed of beautiful clothes. Today, we can wear these fabrics with pride. It is a victory. So, look around you. Do you have an African fabric at home? A wrap, a scarf, a blanket? If so, touch it. Feel its texture. It speaks to you of Africa. And if you don't have one, you can draw one. Draw Kent patterns, with squares, diamonds, lines. Each pattern is a word. You can write unity, peace, love. Because Pan-Africanism is also written with the fingers. SCP, fourth part, music and rhythms that unite hearts. In A Tramp's Sketches, the author listens to Russian songs, but he says that music is universal. In Africa, music is everywhere. Drums, balafons, kora, voices. African rhythms traveled with slaves. They gave birth to blues, jazz, reggae, salsa. When you listen to music, you hear Africa. For example, blues was born from the songs of slaves in cotton fields. They sang to endure pain, to hope. Reggae, on the other hand, comes from Jamaica, but its roots are African. Bob Marley sang about unity, freedom, love. He said, "One love, one heart, one destiny." That is Pan-Africanism in music. In our library, we have African poems that talk about music. A poem says, "The drum beats, the heart beats, Africa dances." Because music is the language of the soul. When you dance to an African rhythm, you dance with all Africans in the world. You are connected to them through sound. So, listen, do you hear the beating of the drum? It is the heart of Africa beating. You can reproduce it with your hands on the table, boom, boom, boom. It is the rhythm of unity. In African games, we also sing. For example, the game a whale is often accompanied by songs. Children sing while moving the seeds. The lyrics talk about life, nature, family. So, sing with me, we are the children of Africa, united by the same rhythm, the same heart, the same joy. Music is a bridge. It crosses oceans, mountains, years. It reminds us that we are all brothers. This is the fourth lesson of Pan-Africanism. Music is our common language. SCP. To go further, let's dive into stories of resistance and pride. In 12 Years a Slave, we see how a free man is kidnapped and sold as a slave. For 12 years, he struggles to survive, to keep his identity, to hope. But he is not alone. Other slaves help him, share their food, their music, their prayers. That is Pan-Africanism, solidarity among Africans, even in hardship. Slaves created communities, secret languages, games, songs. They resisted by staying united. Today, we must remember their courage. In Africa's slave trade, we learn how millions of Africans were torn from their land. But they took their culture with them.
ATTA movement is a form of Pan-Africanism. It says that Black Lives Matter everywhere in the world. African and Afro-descendant artists, writers, athletes are ambassadors of unity. Think of Nelson Mandela, who fought against apartheid in South Africa. He said, "I am what I am because of those who came before me." He thought of all Africans, living and dead. Pan-Africanism is also a memory. We remember heroes, queens, kings, warriors. We remember mothers who raised their children with dignity. We remember scholars, inventors, artists. Africa gave the world writing, mathematics, astronomy, medicine. For example, the pyramids of Egypt are African. The universities of Timbuktu were African. Pan-Africanism is the pride of these achievements. So, when you play a whale, when you eat jollof rice, when you wear Kent, when you dance to reggae, you celebrate this pride. You say, "I am African, I am free, I am united." This is the great lesson of this course. Pan-Africanism is a game, a scent, a taste, a sound, a color, a touch. It is in every gesture, every word, every thought. It is eternal SEP. To remember all this, here are simple tips. First, play a whale with seeds or pebbles. You can do it with a friend or alone. While playing, think of African children playing the same game. Next, cook an African dish with your parents, jollof rice, banana fritters, or an exotic fruit salad. While cooking, smell the spices, taste the flavors. Then, listen to African music, Bob Marley's reggae, Burundi drums, or Tumani Diabetes Kora. While listening, close your eyes and imagine you are in Africa. Finally, draw a Kent pattern on a sheet of paper. Use bright colors, red, yellow, green, blue. Each color represents something: red for the blood of ancestors, yellow for gold, green for nature, blue for the ocean that connects us. Hang your drawing in your room. Thus, every day, you will remember that you are connected to Africa. You can also learn words in an African language, like jambo, hello in Swahili Akwaba, welcome in Chi. Say these words to your friends. Pan-Africanism is also sharing. So, don't forget, play, cook, listen, draw, speak. And above all, be proud of who you are. SEP. If you want to know more, here are some ideas. You can read the book 12 Years a Slave with an adult. It tells the true story of Solomon Northup, a free man who was kidnapped and sold as a slave. It is a sad story, but also full of courage. You can also listen to songs by Fela Kuti, a Nigerian musician who sang for freedom and unity in Africa. His songs are rhythmic and talk about politics. You can also watch documentaries on African games, like a whale or Mancala. There are even apps to play on a tablet. Finally, ask yourself questions. Why were Africans forcibly taken to America? Ho!
And love. So, keep exploring. Go to a library, look for books on Africa. Talk to people from Africa. Ask them to tell you stories about their country. Each story is a seed that grows in the great garden of unity. And don't forget, Pan-Africanism begins in your heart, but it extends to everyone. So, be curious, be open, be proud. And above all, play.